What's up, my friends? Welcome to this live stream, my friends. We are going to be doing health breakdown episode number 25. And again, my friends, this is where we dive into powerful health and wellness topics, breaking down key insights from impactful videos. And again, our goal is to uncover truthful, actionable knowledge that you can use to optimize your health and wellness, elevate your energy, and extend your longevity. So again, my friends, appreciate you tuning in. If you are live, drop a comment. Let me know that you're able to see me. If you're catching the replay, again, let me know that you're here tuning in. And again, I'm excited to be here. Let's see how this goes. And hopefully, my friends, I can help you to, bring a different insight, bring a different perspective into the videos that we are going to be viewing, and ultimately extract some value, have you apply it to your life and benefit at the end of the day. What's up, Molly? All right, so here we go.
A day on the petroleum diet, starting off the morning with some Pop-Tarts for the classics, the red 40, the yellow 5, the yellow 6, the blue 1, getting a nice petrochemical dose first thing in the morning. Then I'm off to Dutch Bros to get my morning brew, a boiling cup of coffee in plastic cup to release some of that polyethylene, billions of microplastics and nanoplastics. Then I'm off to Chick-fil-A for lunch, a lot of seed oils in the bun, in the chicken, in the sauce, in the fries, hoping to get some of that good hexane residue from the extraction process and a touch of dimethyl polysiloxane in the frying. For a midday snack, a pit stop at Crumble Cookie. I'm grabbing the mellow sandwich for the polysorbate 80 made with ethylene oxide, and a cake butter cookie for propylene glycol, the active ingredient in engine antifreeze. These are key for my petrochemical diversity. For dinner, a corn dog. I'm going for that glyphosate. It's not directly a petroleum derivative, but hey, I'm getting the most famous herbicide in the world. And I gotta get my daily aspartame dose. It's synthesized with methanol. I cannot skip that. And of course, gotta hit it with ranch dressing for the EDTA, a preservative made from ethylene diamide, formaldehyde, sodium cyanide, all derived from petroleum. And for dessert, before sleep, cake pop from Target, 14 petroleum-derived ingredients, just to take the edge off while I watch some of my favorite videos. If you're eating this way, you are too maximizing your petrochemical intake. Send this to a friend who needs to see this.
Oh my God. What's up, Jennifer? This video, I like this video because, he's being sarcastic, highlighting the amount of ridiculous chemicals, petrochemicals, glyphosate, and all the other crap that is involved in all of these other foods here. Again, from ranch to corn dogs to Crumble, to your Chick-fil-A, to again Dutch Bros coffee, plastics in the cup, and just again, my friends, we have to stay away from the harmful chemicals that are in our food, and we have to know what those chemicals are, even if we don't exactly know what they are. But to know that there are some words maybe that you can't pronounce, some things that you don't understand, either how to say or what they mean or where they come from, question that, avoid those foods. You don't want to be bringing them into your body. And at the end of the day, they're harmful, they're toxic, they're chemicals. So again, yeah, Jennifer, the Crumble cookies, I don't really eat that, the Crumble cookies, but I know that they're pretty popular. And yeah, some real raunchy ingredients in Crumble cookies. So again, that awareness is key, my friends. Super, super crucial.
Let me just get this straight. People actually believe that this thing in the sky that has been there since the beginning of time, that gives life to the whole world, that gives life to everything in the world and has done since the beginning of time, that thing is the cause of skin cancer. It has nothing to do with lathering the biggest organ in the body with a load of chemicals that most of us can't even pronounce. It's not a conspiracy. The rates of skin cancer have actually increased in parallel with the increase in sun cream usage. Go and look it up. It doesn't take a lot of nous, a rational mind, to think that this thing is not the thing that's killing people. Maybe it's what we're smothering our entire bodies with.
Yeah, my friends, I hope that we're at that point where we understand that the sun is responsible for making all life grow and bringing tremendous value, energy, and ultimately nutrition, right? At the end of the day, to make life grow. All plants need sunlight. all beings need sunlight. And so to demonize, again, the sun, we've come very far from our natural balance point in understanding what is healthy, what is not healthy. So again, before we start to lather up toxic sunscreens on our body, understand that the sun is one of the most beneficial forms of, again, energy, medicine that we could possibly ever have. And to, again, demonize things that actually benefit us, you have to question how that really ever originated. How did it get to that point to where we're demonizing the sun? Bill Gates is trying to block out the sun in the UK. I mean, just pause for a second. Think about these kinds of things. And again, the information that you hear, really dig deep on it. Understand where it's coming from. Understand how they've arrived at that conclusion. And never doubt nature. Never doubt God. The sun, my friends, is one of the best friends that you have for the rest of your life. So again, if you're in the sun and you're burning, very simple. Remove yourself from the sun or cover yourself. Throw a shirt on, throw a hat on. But don't use toxic sunscreens and toxic chemicals on your body to prevent what is good. Simply remove yourself from the intensity of the heat and the intensity of the sunlight. But again, I hope that we're here, my friends. I hope that we understand sunlight is beneficial. Always trust nature. Always. So my friends, this is the Ocean Cleanup. And so I've been following them on Instagram for a few years now. And I thought it was incredible what they were doing. And if you guys are aware of the garbage patch out there in the Pacific, where it literally extends for miles and miles and miles, a dense area within the ocean where there is a massive accumulation of plastic. And so these guys, again, I don't know where or when they started, but I know it's been a few years that they've been doing this. I think the video here dates back to 2022 when they first started, but they've removed 491 tons of plastic from that area in the ocean, which is named the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. And I think that that's just pretty awesome. You know, we often hear of a lot of the negatives that are happening around the world, or within our health or within our environment. And I think it's just super cool. It's motivating actually to see these guys putting in the work day after day, week after week, year after year, cleaning up something that, again, we as humans have created as being neglectful, being unaware, and being dismissive with what we use on a regular basis. And so again, just some positivity, and some motivation. I love it. I love people doing well, you know, absolutely. Yeah. It's honestly incredible. And it caught my eye. The very first video that I ever saw from them, I follow them still. And, yeah, just great stuff. Great stuff.
To report that last week we closed the final chapter in the long history of thimerosal in the United States. Thimerosal, of course, is a mercury-based vaccine preservative. Its main component, ethylmercury, is a known and very potent neurotoxin. Until we withdrew the recommendation last week, flu shots containing thimerosal, astonishingly, were still being administered to millions of Americans, including pregnant women and children. Now, I've taken a lot of flack from the vaccine industry and from its allies in the press about my decision to ban it. So I want to talk a little bit about my reasons. In early 2001, the director of the FDA Office of Vaccine Research and Review, the late William Egan, admitted under oath before Congress that thimersaul's safety had never been studied in human beings. Further, CDC has no existing guidelines for safe exposures to ethyl mercury. It is therefore inexcusable that these agencies allowed neurotoxic mercury to be injected into Americans for so long. A quick search of the National Library of Medicine's PubMed and PubChem websites nets thousands of studies on search terms such as mercury neurotoxicity, mercury in development, and mercury in the brain. Hundreds of them identify thimerosal as a potent neurotoxin, a carcinogen, a mutagen, and an endocrine disruptor. But let's put all that peer-reviewed science aside and just look at what the government itself and the vaccine industry say about thimerosal. Thimerasol's own label advises against its use during pregnancy, pointing out that thimerosal has never been shown to be safe and that it causes mutations in mammals. Thimerasol's material safety data sheet acknowledges that thimerosal is toxic, that it has nervous system and reproductive effects, that it's mutagenic in mammalian cells, that exposure to mercury and thimerosal in utero and in children could cause mild to severe mental retardation and mild to severe motor coordination impairment.
Friends, you guys know my position on vaccines and where we stand, and there's a few videos that we'll get to here today, but again, I'm here to support everyone's health at the end of the day and to remove toxic materials from our ingestion, absorption, or direct injection into our bodies. And again, I absolutely love the fact that he is removing mercury from vaccines and trying to help people at the end of the day. Known endocrine disruptors, known neurotoxins, and the amount of damage that mercury has been doing for years. And again, the data, the science, the facts are straightforward in regards to mercury, a heavy metal. How does a heavy metal benefit anyone in any aspect whatsoever? You take that individual metal and give that to a person, well, that's toxic. But when you magically put it into a needle, all of a sudden it becomes safe. And that's just not accurate. That's been a complete falsity across the board with vaccines and heavy metals and toxins that are used. Not to mention, really no benefit whatsoever. And so, again, we'll get into a few of these vaccine discussions here. Always count on me always to have some vaccine videos in these health breakdowns. But absolutely, Lashana, I'm glad that, we can be vocal around these topics. If you guys remember 2, 3, 5, 10 years ago, any of us that questioned a vaccine, it was like we were terrorists and we were trying to kill people. Whereas now, again, in the age of information, truth always rises to the top. And we're able to not only have discussions, but see the facts around not only vaccines, but many other topics as well. So, yeah.
That we're not allowed to question vaccine science.
Unlike other areas of medicine, vaccinology, in a sense, is taken on a religious tone in medicine, and one can't challenge the religion of vaccinology. If we were to question cholesterol lowering medicine or blood pressure lowering, we could have a healthy debate. But as we research this, from the very beginning of medical history, there has not been a fair debate or discourse over vaccines, despite there being controversy from the very beginning. There was a very heavy hand, a theme of hubris, of arrogance, power, and money from the very beginning, Tony.
Yeah. Again, Dr. Peter McCullough, you guys know him very well in his work, especially on the COVID vaccines. But again, my friends, to me, vaccines are the greatest fraud ever committed on humans and human health. That is my perspective. Again, I see absolutely no benefits whatsoever to vaccines, and to add in all of the side effects, damage, possible death, all of the deaths that have resulted from vaccines. Again, if something is healthy, if something is beneficial, there should not be a possible cause of death. There should not be side effects that will damage permanently to any human being. If something's healthy, it's healthy, always, forever, no matter what, no matter when. But you have not quite that reality when it comes to vaccines.
200-year myth. It's a 200-year multi-generational indoctrination that vaccines are safe, effective, necessary, and harmless. And every one of those statements I just made are lies. Not one vaccine has ever been proven to be safe because they don't use true placebos, number one, and they don't follow them long enough to see. All they're looking for is did it make you die? And if you didn't die, they call it safe. They never talk about asthma, allergies, eczema, ADD, ADHD, the long list of neurological problems, the autoimmune diseases that take a long time to develop. None of that is followed, because if it's more than 72 hours later that you develop a side effect, it says, well, that didn't have anything to do with the vaccine, which is an arbitrary line that was drawn in the sand in the early 1990s by the FDA.
My friend, Dr. Sherry Tenpenny, I would say the leading individual on vaccines, safety, harmful effects, and just straight up information. Google her, search her, go to her website, Dr. Sherry Tenpenny. She's been doing this for a long time. But what she said about a 200-year multi-generational indoctrination, that vaccines are safe and effective, necessary and harmless, that is probably the best phrase that I have ever heard anybody elaborate on. And again, you have to get back to the fact that when someone questions something that is supposed to be positive or supposed to be truthful, there should be the openness of having a discussion around it. There should be the openness of talking about it, not rejecting it, not silencing it, not mocking it, ridiculing it. But if something is that golden and that safe and that great, cool. Let's have a conversation about it, right? Let's talk about herbs. Great. Awesome. Let's talk about whole foods, raw foods. Let's talk about detoxification. Okay, cool. Yeah, let's have those conversations. But when we talk about vaccination being healthy and beneficial, and then when we say, you know what, I'm not sure about that, I'm going to question that. And then you have people who get upset, people who want to demand and mandate that these things be injected into our bodies, into our children's bodies. And again, taking away religious exemptions from those that do not wish to participate in the vaccine ideology. Why should we have our sovereignty and our freedoms removed from something that should be totally good, totally safe? But you see, the true reality of that is not the case. So again, I encourage all of you to continue to dig deeper, continue to, again, do your due diligence and make your own decisions. But there is nothing that God did not equip us with and create us with that man somehow came along 200 years ago and found a remedy for in a needle. And those folks that have created those remedies in a needle are actually convicted felons. That doesn't match up. That doesn't line up. And so again, continue to do your research, my friends. There is nothing beneficial in a needle from a pharmaceutical company, but we'll continue. Appreciate you, Jennifer.
Vaccinated children are far healthier than vaccinated children. If you want your child to have 7.6 times more autism, follow the vaccinating schedule. If you want your child to have 5 times more sleep problems, follow the vaccine schedule. If you want your child to have 2.1 times more speech disorders, follow the vaccine schedule. Or if you want your child to have neurodevelopment disorders, 1.8 times more neurodevelopmental disorders, follow the vaccine schedule. But if you don't, if you want to reverse or reduce the chances of developing any of the diseases, then do not vaccinate your children. Do not do it, because it causes brain damage, it causes immune dysregulation, and it causes high levels of toxicity. There's 3 main factors that are affected in vaccine, and I can get into it.
Friends, very, very interesting numbers. You know, I never knew exactly what the percentages were when it comes to those that are vaccinated versus those that are unvaccinated. If you guys remember the video we did a few weeks ago with Dr. Paul Thomas back in 2020, 2021, where he took every single vaccinated child in his practice and compared them to every unvaccinated child in his practice. And the charts were staggering with the amount of health problems, health visits that vaccinated children had versus unvaccinated children have. Again, you look at the Amish, where autism is essentially non-existent. And to me, my friends, autism is a direct correlation and causation to autism. When you have heavy metals that leach and stay in the brain, that is where we get things like autism from. Again, a direct proponent to something that has confused and befuddled many of us for years, for decades. And finally, the truth is rising and coming to the top at the end of the day. Yep. You as a child to what they do. Yes. Yeah. Lashana, I think it's 72 or 96 vaccines that children get at this point compared to whatever it was, 5, 6, 7 way back in the day. And so, yeah. And again, my friends, so we're about solutions here. We're about remedies. Again, as you guys know, natural healing is where I'm at. But detoxification is the only way to remove the harmful toxins, metals that have accumulated within the body, right? Detoxification. Work with the herbs, go on fasts, fruit fasts, right? Raw fruits, raw vegetables, my friends, as well as the herbs. This is how we eliminate. This is how we detoxify. Dr. Morse has a story of a 3-year-old who did not know her mother for the first 3 years of her life. And he had her detoxing on fruits and herbs. And she went to the bathroom. She urinated, and a black kind of fragment came through her urine. And it was at that moment that she recognized her mother for the first time. And to me, that is one of the most powerful stories that I've ever heard Dr. Morse tell. Again, believe it was mercury from vaccines. But again, the heavy metal accumulation is absolutely detrimental in so many aspects to our health and to the function of our brain. Kind of shift subjects here a little bit, my friends.
You've heard of earthing or grounding, and you've wondered if it's just a bunch of bunk science or a bunch of voodoo that hippies do in the mountains. But actually, there's a lot of very valid scientific proof that earthing and grounding, contacting Mother Earth, is very, very good for our physiology. In fact, a lot of the best anti-aging, longevity, wellness medicine is starting to come full circle. We're starting to realize that the further we get away from the basic sunlight, breath work, contacting the earth, proper hydration and clean food, the more unhealthy we become.
Nailed it. Grounding, my friends. If you've ever watched, I think it's the Earthing documentary, incredible. So the first time I watched it was the last time that I ever did not ground. So every single morning I get up, again, I listen to some prayer, listen to the Bible scripture readings, do some meditation, but I walk barefoot on the ground for at least 15, 20 minutes. Get the sunlight. Again, get that nourishment, that spiritual nourishment, put on the armor of God to face all the battles that, we face on an everyday basis. And again, what it's done for me specifically, but what grounding does in general, is it reduces inflammation, helps to reduce pain. We have a charge in our body, which is ultimately a positive charge, and the earth has a negative charge. And so we dispel those positively charged ions into the ground, and we uptake the negatively charged ions. So it's a balance. It helps us to balance, helps us to, again, eliminate. And at the end of the day, sun gazing and grounding, absolutely. At the end of the day, I have some football injuries on my knee, on my toe, my ankle. And since I've been doing it for about 3 years now, 3.5 years, it just has helped me tremendously with how I walk, the pain in my knee, the pain in my toe, and it has reduced inflammation around my knee tremendously. So again, it's something that I do every day. We should be walking as humans. Again, move it or lose it is really the perspective. But get yourself out into the sun, my friends. Get yourself foot to the ground, okay? And just spend time in nature. Think about things, or don't think about anything. Let it all go. Get out in the sun. Let it charge you, and allow the ground to recharge you from a different angle, from a different perspective. But I highly suggest that you watch the grounding movie. I think, again, it was, I'm going to quick Google it because I keep messing it up. The Earthing movie, okay? The Earthing movie. Tremendous. Once you watch it, you probably will do grounding every single day, like I have from the moment that I watched it. But again, we've been hearing a lot about grounding and the benefits of it. It's as real as it gets, my friend. Again, connecting back to nature. Who would have thought something as simple, as fundamental as connecting back to nature would bring us tremendous benefits? And again, this is where we have to go. This is what we have to get back to, that natural alignment with who we are and what we are as human beings, as well as our surroundings, our environment, nature, the ground, the sun. That's where we got to be, my friends. I think I have 2 more here for us today. Yeah.
Do-it-yourself toothpaste. All you need is 1 tablespoon of coconut oil, 1 tablespoon of baking soda. You're going to mix them together in a small bowl until you can achieve a small paste. For an extra fresh kick, I actually like to put a little drop of peppermint essential oil. Not only enhances the flavor, but it leaves our breath that minty fresh, thanks to its natural antimicrobial properties that helps combat oral bacteria. So what you want to do is you want to apply a small amount to your toothbrush. You want to brush gentle for about 1 to 2 minutes. Remember to be very gentle to protect your enamel, as overbrushing with abrasive materials can wear it down over time. But if you're careful and you brush really softly, this is going to actually help that sensitivity as well as that vulnerability to tooth decay. And there's one other thing I want to mention. It's called oil pulling. It's an ancient Ayurvedic technique involved in swishing a tablespoon of coconut oil in our mouth for about 10 minutes or so. It's an excellent method for removing that bacteria, improving that oral hygiene. And the swishing action helps dislodge those particles and plaque in our mouth, while the oil's viscosity traps them, allowing you to spit them out. But you want to make sure you swish gently and avoid swallowing the oil. And when you're done, do not spit it out in the sink. Spit it out in a trash can.
Yeah, my friends. Again, I've been coconut pulling for probably about 2 years now. But this is kind of a great, toothpaste hack or tip or, product to make. Baking soda, phenomenal. Again, use baking soda in your kitchen and in your bathroom as well. Kitchen to clean off your produce, fruits and vegetables. Again, teaspoon for every 16 ounces, I think it is, of water that you use. I usually just get a few tablespoons, throw it in there, clean off the produce. But using baking soda in the mouth is profound. What I really enjoy, though, is the simplicity of the 2-ingredient toothpaste, right? Baking soda and coconut oil. You can use that, again, drop in some essential oil as he recommends with peppermint, Always a good, have that minty little flavor in your mouth from a natural perspective, not the Listerine perspective. But speaking of the mouthwash, this is where the coconut pulling comes into play. So again, I usually do it multiple times a day, where after brushing the teeth, or even before brushing the teeth, and then after brushing the teeth, I put in the coconut oil, swish it around 5, 10, 15 minutes. Sometimes even after I brush my teeth and get out and do my grounding, I have the coconut oil in my mouth and I'm just swishing it around. But again, use a tablespoon, teaspoon, whatever it is, throw it in your mouth, let it swish around for about 10, 15 minutes, and then spit it out. But a tremendous oral care practice, again, as natural as it gets, and just a great feeling that you have in your mouth after it's all done. It just feels clean. It just feels purified. And again, you know, you're not bringing in the harmful toxic dynamics of a Listerine. So last one here, my friends.
Time to burn fat with walking, it is right after your lifting sessions at the gym. So when you lift, your body releases fat burning hormones like growth hormone, catecholamines, glucagon. These hormones act like keys unlocking your fat stores, making them available for fuel. They pull fat out of storage and send it into your bloodstream ready to be burned. Now, here's where walking comes in. If you take a light walk after lifting, especially at a zone 2 pace, which is easy enough to hold a conversation, your body taps into that unlocked fat and uses it as its main energy source. But it's not just about fat loss. Walking after a lift also flushes out your lactate, which is the stuff that makes you sore. It reduces stress hormones like cortisol, and you activate your recovery mode so your body repairs faster. So if you got 10 to 20 minutes after lifting, don't just hit the showers, walk it out. It is the simplest fat burning recovery boosting combo you're probably not doing yet.
All right, my friends. So super, insightful regarding walking. Again, I walk multiple times a day. I walk in the morning. I walk in between my rest periods of working out. I have a home gym. And so in between my sets, squatting, deadlifting, I take a lap around my house. It takes me about 2 minutes. Boom, back in, do my next set. But also post-workout, right? Again, activating your fat storage to essentially be used as fuel and to begin that recovery process. So again, there's a lot of things that are pretty straightforward, pretty simple with our health and our wellness, but there's also kind of that next level of optimization and timing when it comes to just little things like this. But again, if you can get your walk in the beginning of the day in the morning, great. If you really want to optimize it, again, save it for right after a workout, and again, utilize fat for the fuel and begin that recovery process. So again, my friends, that is it for our health breakdown today. Episode number 25. Been doing this for a minute now, but looking forward to continue to doing this. This live stream was awesome. I appreciate everyone who tuned in or who's catching the replay. I plan on doing this again, probably one more time this week, but I will at least be doing this on a weekly basis. So again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you guys for following. And again, to the most natural and holistic ways of optimizing our health and wellness, and to, again, elevating our energy and prolonging our longevity, again, in the most natural ways, my friends. I love you guys. I'll talk to you soon.